Hello and welcome to At the Heart of Health with Dr. James Marcum. In today's well-marketed world, it's hard to know who or even what to believe when it comes to health care. In each program, Dr. Marcum, a board-certified behavioral cardiologist, takes a balanced approach using common sense modern medicine and the ultimate source of truth, the Bible, recognizing that at the heart of health is love.
I'm Dr. James Marcum, and welcome to Heart of Health. Each week we try to discuss some aspect of healing. This might be treatments, it might be different physicians coming in talking about medicines, but we all heal each other in some manner. Today we're going to talk about healing at the end of life, specifically about how funerals and those type of arrangements are made. This is very important. With us today I have a special guest, Stephen Pike. Stephen, thank you for joining us at Heart of Health. And tell me, this isn't a profession everyone rushes into. What got you interested in healing from the funeral perspective?
Well, I'm a third generation in funeral service. My grandfather.
Let me stop you there. Grandfather,
yes,
okay.
Grandfather,
okay.
Father, and myself have all been in funeral service in Chattanooga, Tennessee. And it's a calling. We really perceive this as a calling, more so than a job, more so than a profession. And we're just able to help people 7 days a week, hurting people with closure and just helping them on the worst day of their lives.
So growing up in the family, you saw your grandfather and your father working in this healing ministry.
Yes.
So that must have been a great role. Did you have to go to school for this?
Yes. Yes.
Now, how many years do you have to go to school?
Well, there's mortuary school that's offered, and then also the business school portion that individuals in my profession can elect either choice, depending on if they're going to be in embalming or licensed funeral directors waiting on family. It just depends on their preference.
So you can spend quite a few years learning not only the business, but do they teach you the healing part of it, though?
Yes, there is quite a bit of discussion about grief and aftercare and helping families after the service.
Well, you know, you don't see many health programs, healing programs, talking about end-of-life issues. But why it's so important to me is I've had 3 patients over the last 20 years who had a syndrome called the apical ballooning syndrome or broken heart syndrome. Yes. What this is we know under stressful situations, loss of a loved one, moving, our bodies make lots of adrenaline, and these adrenaline can cause heart attacks. And so there's a very important, if you can prevent that adrenaline surge, you can really help people. Have you ever seen this happen in your practice? Well,
not to the extent of a fatal heart attack or a heart disease per se, but many families become lonely. The spouse, after they've been married 30, 40, 50, 60 years, after the death of their spouse, there's a tremendous amount of loneliness that takes over. And we have a program called LIFT, Living Information for Today, and it's for widows and widowers. They come together, they take trips together, they have lunch and dinners together. It's uplifting. Great speakers such as yourself would come and talk, and it's just a way for them to fellowship and get over the loneliness.
So I want everyone to think about, at this time of life, this is a very important time for people to help heal by blocking that stress any way they can, so a loved one won't have a heart attack or some other complication or illness.
Yes, and the fellowship of the visitation. When you have a visitation and the friends from the church and friends from the community come by and visit with families, that's part of the healing process.
You know, I live in the South, and the food's part of the process too.
That's right. You're exactly
everyone brings foods. And it doesn't always have to be a solemn occasion.
No, it's a celebration of life. The best approach that families take is celebrating their loved one's life, and the role of the minister is very important.
You know, and I went to one, and they helped heal people by uplifting music.
Yes, yes. Music is very important. Of course, we have an organist at the church or at the funeral home, and then soloists, musicians, and even bagpipes at the cemetery.
Can people bring their own, you know, if they really want to?
Yes, oh yes, we play all types of music on CDs, but music and the role of the minister and the role of music are the 2 most important ingredients in a funeral ceremony.
Well, Steve, what we've gathered questions from literally all over the world that's coming into Heartwise Ministries, and we're going to answer some of these questions on air today. And we're going to pick this up right after we get back from our short break. I'm Dr. James Marcum, and I talk to patients every day who want to know the truth in healthcare. On our website, heartwiseministries.org, you can have your questions answered. You can read my blog where I talk about interesting and controversial subjects in medicine. You might choose to go to the radio or television sections and learn more about all sorts of health topics. Take the time and go to heartwiseministries.org.
You can easily spend $90 on an expensive meal out. How about investing $89.94 in your future? Just think about the possibility of coming off those prescription pills and getting rid of all the side effects. Think about feeling better than you have ever felt in your life. This is all possible for you. For only $89.94, you will receive a 7-part DVD series, Weight Management by the Book, a 30-lesson workbook with over 100 recipes, and if ordered today, exercise tubes will be included for free to help with your journey. There are many programs available, but this unique program has identified the truth about how to manage weight. This program is not available in stores. This limited offer will not last long. Pick up the phone now and dial 877-504-9628. Operators are standing by. This call will change your life forever.
Two words for you. Pop quiz. Ready? Name any funny movie. A drama. Name a mystery. And one more thing. Name the movie your kids saw today in science class.
Know what really matters. Know about your kid's school. And know about your kid. Find out 100 ways to know more, do more.
Welcome back to Heart of Health. Today we're talking with Stephen Pike about issues that might help healing at the end of life. We're going to answer some questions now that came in from Heartwise Ministries, Steve. And the first question came in from all the way from Amy in West Virginia. And Amy asks us, and this is a multiple part question,
Yes.
so we'll break this part, but how do you help families when they are stressed in grief? And let's part that. And the second part, do you help after the funeral services? So let's tackle that first. And what do you do when the families are stressed in grief to help them out?
Right. Well, our primary role is to stabilize the family. They leave the medical profession, and before the ministry, the clergy can help them. The role of the funeral director is to stabilize the situation. So we try to answer questions and help them through the planning process to make informed decisions and just to keep them emotionally stable as best we can, so that when the minister can have prayer, typically before the visitation, the minister will come in and have a word of prayer with the family before their first viewing. And then the friends begin to arrive at the visitation, and that's a big part of the healing process is fellowship with your friends that you've had all your life.
So you're getting these people at the most vulnerable time, aren't you?
On the worst day of their life. This is the family's worst day of their life, and you just, as I say, it's a calling and it's ministry, and you just try to reach out.
Now, are you a total stranger, or do they know you before?
A lot of times they know me or know our representatives, but not always.
Wow, that's a big responsibility.
It is.
Now, what do you actually do? I'm sure there's a lot of people that are in grief and are crying and you know all sorts of emotions. How do you sort of sort through that?
Well, the first thing when the arrangement conference, that's after the death has occurred at the hospital or the residence, and then we bring the loved one back to the funeral home in our care. Usually the next day, we'll make arrangements. And when they come in to make arrangements, I have a little handout I give them so they understand everything that we're going to discuss, and they have a pencil in their hand and they take notes because they are anxious, and sometimes just kind of helping know what's going to be asked and what the decisions are going to be made the next hour. It takes about an hour and 15 minutes to make arrangements. An obituary is compiled, and we talk about when the funeral is going to be.
So you actually, the obituaries we see in the paper, does that one of your services?
Yes, we work with the family. They bring the documentation in, and we help compose it, and they edit it, and we place a picture in the paper. And we also do movies of the individual who passed away, and that's helpful in the celebration of life. They can watch a movie of their loved one, and that's shown at the visitation on the television. It's on our website, mem.com, and it's on there forever. It's called Everlasting.
Okay.
And it's on there forever. But we just discuss a lot of the details and just try to help them, guide them through a lot of decisions.
Now, how do you, when something like this happens, how do you do your job? How do you just not fall apart and start crying?
Well, you have to be, in order to help hurting people,
Yeah.
you have to be strong yourself. I mean, we have to walk in with a certain level of professional confidence and just help them, work through this.
But Steve, that seems so hard. Professional confidence versus seeming detached in all business.
Right.
How do you balance that?
Well, people know if you're genuine. They can tell, and it's a trust relationship. And they understand if we're genuine and that we have a sincere level of compassion, and we just walk them through the process. Now, for those families that are pre-planned and planned in advance,
Right.
several years or several months prior to death, then it's much easier for them because a lot of these decisions have already been made.
Wow. I hope that answers your question, Amy. Let's move to another question, and this is from Paul, and he writes us from Nebraska. And Paul says, my father is in a nursing home and he's very frail. He is 92 years old, and he asks, when he passes, who makes the arrangement? So evidently he's by himself.
Right. Yeah. If Paul's mother was living, she would come in with Paul.
Right.
But typically, Paul or the brothers or sisters, if there's brothers or sisters, the next of kin, whoever's the next of kin, could be multiple brothers or sisters. It could be just Paul himself would come in and make the arrangements.
Now, have you ever been in a situation where someone calls you and you can't find someone to make the arrangements?
It's rare. It is rare, but it does happen.
And what would you do then?
Well, sometimes those individuals have pre-planned,
Okay.
because they know in advance that they're not going to have a loved one or a caregiver specifically to look after their final wishes. But in the event that they have not pre-planned, then usually someone in the legal profession, an executor of the will, a lawyer, someone of that nature will assist in making those decisions.
I've heard a lot in this healing process, the word planning keeps coming up.
It's just fundamental.
Okay, so one of the ways that we can help this stress response and do a little bit of good ahead of time is planning.
Yes.
But don't you find that hard? I don't like to think about that. Would you
Right.
like to think about?
No,
or how would you talk to your mom and dad about something
Well, it's
like
against
that?
human nature to a certain extent to plan, but we do plan everything else in our life.
You're right.
And it's just important to have your expressed wishes in writing about the type of service you would like, who the minister is going to be, and so forth and so on. And then if you would like to fund it and pay ahead over time, then you can do so. But the most important thing is just have your expressed wishes in writing.
This is very similar to medicine. You have to plan your health well advanced too, and no one likes to talk of that.
Right.
Well, I hope that answers Paul's question. We'll be right back and answer more of your questions on Heart of Health.